All right, let's get started. And I want you to forget everything you think you know about boring old grammar lessons. Today, we're cracking open the secrets of words we use every single day, nouns. You use them all the time, but do you really know their hidden identities? Okay, let's dive in.
So, to kick things off, let me ask you something. Take a look at these three things on your screen. You've got a specific place, a feeling, and a group. At first glance, they look totally different, right? But what's the one single thread that ties them all together?
And if you're thinking, hey, they're all nouns, you are absolutely spot on. But here's the twist. They're not just any old nouns. See, each one belongs to a different family, and each family has its own set of rules and its own special job to do. And today, we're going to meet all of them. First things first, before we get into the wild stuff, we've got to build a solid foundation. We're going to start with the most fundamental and familiar types of nouns. The ones you probably remember from way back in school. So, what even is a noun at its core? It's basically just a naming word. Simple as that. It gives a name to a person, like Peter, a place, like New York, a physical thing, like a book, or even a big idea, like love. You can think of it as the anchor that holds most of your sentences down. Now, our first family split is between the general and the specific. A common noun is your generic, everyday word like city or company. But a proper noun, that's the VIP name for a specific one, like New York or Starbucks. And this brings us to the golden rule. Proper nouns always, always get a capital letter. No exceptions. Okay, let's keep building on this. We're going to move on to our next section where we're looking at the difference between things that exist in the physical world versus stuff that only exists in our minds.
And this brings us to concrete and abstract nouns. A concrete noun is anything you can experience with your five senses. You can see a tree, you can taste fruit, or you can hear music. But an abstract noun, that's a concept, an emotion, a quality. You can't exactly go out and touch happiness or see knowledge, can you? They're ideas.
All right, next up, we're diving into the noun families that are all about numbers. We're talking about how we count things, how we group them together, and of course, how we talk about more than one. This one's pretty straightforward, but it is super important. A singular noun is just one of something. One hat, one story. And a plural noun, you guessed it, is more than one, so multiple hats or many stories. But making things plural is where it gets a little tricky. Yeah, most of the time, you just slap an S on the end. But, English just loves to break its own rules. So for words ending in Y, you often change it to IES, like story becomes stories. And then you have the totally weird ones, the irregulars, like man becoming men or foot becoming feet. And that idea leads us right into countable versus uncountable nouns. Countable nouns are exactly what they sound like. You can count them. One book, two books. But uncountable nouns, they're more like a general mass or a concept you can't really split up, like rice, information, or music. You'd never say I have three informations, would you? You'd say something like three pieces of information. So what about nouns for whole groups of things? Well, that's where these cool little things called collective nouns come in. Words like family, team, or herd, they all represent a group. And here's the really fascinating part. Even though they're talking about lots of individuals, we usually treat the word itself as a single thing. We say the team is winning, not the team are winning. Kind of cool, right? Okay, we've met a bunch of these families now. So for this last part, we're going to tie it all together, look at a couple of special cases, and bust a myth that trips a lot of people up. First up, compound nouns. These are just nouns made from two or more words squished together. And they come in three main flavors. You've got the closed ones where the words are fused, like seafood. You have the hyphenated ones, like mother-in-law. And then there are the open ones, where they look like two separate words, but they act as one, like ice cream. All right, now let's tackle a big one, a question that really gets a lot of people tangled up. It seems totally logical, right? If it's a physical thing, you should be able to count it. And if it's just an idea, you probably can't. But is it really that simple? Nope, not even close. The truth is, these categories we've been talking about, they're not in separate little boxes. They can overlap in some really interesting ways. So let's get this straightened out once and for all. Just check out this table. It makes everything so much clearer. Think about it. A coin is concrete, and yeah, you can count it. But money?
also concrete, but we treat it as uncountable. And it works for abstract nouns too. An idea is abstract, but you can definitely count ideas. But knowledge is also abstract and it's uncountable. See how these categories work together?
So here's the big takeaway, the one thing you really need to remember from all this. A noun can be a multitasker. It can belong to a few of these families all at the same time. And understanding that overlap is the real key to mastering how nouns actually work. So let's do a super quick rapid-fire review. Ready? We've got common versus proper, that's general versus specific, concrete versus abstract, what you can sense versus what you can't, countable versus uncountable, pretty obvious, can you count it or not, and singular versus plural, that's one versus many. Boom, you've totally got this. And that is a wrap on the secret families of nouns. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. The next time you write an email or tell a story, which type of noun are you going to choose to make your point more specific, more vivid, or more powerful? The power is all in the choice you make. Thanks so much for hanging out.